The morning sun rose slowly over the quiet town, spreading warm golden light across the rooftops, cobblestone streets, and the gardens that had just begun to bloom with the first touches of spring. Jay stood on his small balcony, holding a warm cup of tea between his hands, watching the steam rise in gentle spirals into the crisp morning air. He liked mornings because they were quiet, unassuming, and full of possibility. The world seemed to pause in those moments, giving him a sense of peace before the inevitable rush of daily life. But Jay didn't have a typical busy life. He didn't have the grind of work or school consuming his days. Instead, he devoted himself to observing, reflecting, and quietly finding ways to make life better for those around him. He believed that the world did not always require grand gestures to change. Sometimes, a simple smile, a word of encouragement, or a small act of kindness could ripple through lives in ways no one could predict. He often imagined life as a pond. One tiny pebble dropped into still water could send waves outward, reaching corners far beyond the initial splash. Today, Jay felt that pebble stirring in his mind, waiting to be thrown. As he walked through the town, the streets were unusually still. Early shopkeepers were beginning to lift shutters, and a faint scent of freshly baked bread drifted from the bakery on the corner. Birds hopped along the pavements, chirping as if greeting the day. Jay moved slowly, savoring the sights and sounds, noticing the small details most people overlooked, the way sunlight caught the dew on the grass, the subtle creak of a fence swaying in the breeze, the way the air smelled just after the night had cooled it. In each of these small observations, he found a reason to feel connected to the town and its people. It reminded him that even the smallest details had their place in the tapestry of life. Near the park, Jay noticed an elderly man sitting alone on a wooden bench beneath a sprawling oak tree. His shoulders were slumped, and his gaze was fixed on the ground. The lines on his face seemed deeper than the years alone would account for, and there was a weight in his posture, a quiet heaviness that made Jay pause. He hesitated for a moment, walking past the man, but something inside him urged him to return. He thought about the times he had felt small, overlooked, or forgotten. He understood that sometimes, what a person needed most was simple human acknowledgement. "Good morning," Jay said gently as he approached the bench. The man looked up, surprised, as if he had not expected anyone to speak to him. "Good morning," he replied softly, his voice carrying the faintest tremor. Jay sat beside him, taking a moment to observe the calmness of the park, letting the silence speak first. Sometimes, he thought, the quiet could be more powerful than words. After a few moments, the elderly man spoke. "It's strange," he said slowly, "how the world seems to grow quieter as you grow older." Jay nodded thoughtfully. He had spent many mornings considering this same truth. As people age, friends move away, family becomes distant, and the places that once felt alive can seem empty. The elderly man continued, sharing memories of children playing in the park years ago, of friends who had laughed alongside him on the same bench, of family gatherings that had filled his home with warmth. "I come here sometimes just to feel less alone," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Jay listened without interrupting. He knew that often, the act of listening itself could be a profound form of kindness. After a while, Jay smiled warmly. "I'm glad you came today. Even a brief conversation can make the day feel a little lighter." The man's face softened, and a hint of a smile appeared. "You're right. It can," he said quietly. They spoke for several minutes more about simple things, the beauty of the season, the quiet strength of the trees, and the way the sunlight danced across the park's paths. Jay's thoughts wandered as he listened. He imagined how these small interactions, repeated across the town by countless people, could create a network of goodwill stronger than any grand act. Each small connection, each moment of genuine attention, could multiply in ways unseen. Eventually, Jay stood to continue his walk, leaving the elderly man with a smile and a kind word. As he moved down the path, he felt a sense of peace, unaware that the small act of sitting beside someone and listening had already set a chain of events into motion. Not far from the park, a young woman hurried along, carrying several grocery bags. She was distracted, her mind full of errands and tasks, when one of the bags tore open, sending oranges rolling across the pavement. She let out a small exasperated sigh. The elderly man Jay had just spoken to, moved by the memory of Jay's kindness earlier, rose from his bench. Though he had been feeling the weight of loneliness, he now felt a spark of purpose. Slowly, carefully, he approached her and said, "Here, let me help you." Together they gathered the scattered oranges, and the young woman looked at him with relief and gratitude. "Thank you so much," she said. "I didn't know what I would have done." The man smiled softly, feeling a warmth he had not experienced in years. Jay continued his walk, unaware of the positive effect his actions had sparked. The ripple had begun, small but undeniable. The young woman continued her day, her spirits lifted, and later visited a small cafe in town. The cafe was busy, and the server behind the counter looked exhausted, moving quickly to keep up with orders. She greeted him warmly and thanked him for his hard work, offering a genuine smile. The server, unused to receiving such acknowledgement, felt an immediate lift in his mood. For the rest of the afternoon, he treated customers with renewed patience and care, each smile he returned planting seeds of positivity in their hearts. One of those customers, a man having endured a difficult week, approached the counter with frustration written on his face. But the warmth in the server's greeting softened his mood. He left the cafe, noticing a stray dog wandering near the street, hungry and wary. Usually, he might have walked past, absorbed in his own troubles, but the kindness he experienced inspired him. He bought food for the dog, who wagged its tail in gratitude. The simple act filled him with unexpected peace, reminding him of the quiet power of compassion. Jay, meanwhile, continued through the town, greeting neighbors, pausing to admire blooming flowers, and helping a woman carry a heavy box into her home. These small interactions, which might seem inconsequential to some, were the essence of the chain of kindness he believed in. As the afternoon faded into evening, the town was bathed in golden light. Children played along the sidewalks, neighbors chatted, and Jay walked with a sense of quiet satisfaction, knowing he had lived in harmony with the town, noticing and caring for those around him. Across the town lived Daniel, a young man struggling with discouragement. Life had felt heavy and directionless, and he often questioned his ability to make a difference. That evening, he visited the cafe and encountered the server whose kindness had lifted the spirits of the young woman and many others. The server greeted Daniel warmly, offering a few words of encouragement. The conversation, though brief, inspired Daniel to reflect on the kindness he had experienced throughout the day. When he walked home, he noticed his elderly neighbor struggling with groceries. Without hesitation, he stepped forward to help, carrying the bags upstairs with a sense of purpose that had been absent from him for weeks. Back in the park, the elderly man Jay had spoken with earlier returned to the same bench. The weight in his shoulders had eased, replaced by a sense of fulfillment. He recounted to Jay how he had helped the young woman with her groceries, how she had smiled, and how it reminded him that he still had something to give. Jay listened quietly, reflecting on how even the smallest gestures could restore hope and self-worth. As night settled over the town, Jay walked home beneath the stars, pondering the ripple effect of kindness. He realized that every small act, whether a smile, a word of encouragement, or a helping hand, could inspire a chain reaction that moved unseen through the lives of many. The young woman who had received help assisted her neighbor later that day. The cafe server's renewed positivity influenced countless interactions. The man who fed the dog found a home for it eventually. Daniel, inspired by the small acts he witnessed, began volunteering his time and energy to help others. Each life touched by kindness created another opportunity to spread it further, demonstrating that change did not need grand gestures, it needed hearts willing to care. When Jay reached his apartment, he stepped onto the balcony and gazed at the quiet town. The streets were empty, lights glowing softly in the windows. The air carried the faint scent of night-blooming flowers. Somewhere, someone laughed with a friend. Somewhere, someone helped a neighbor. Somewhere, a life was changed because someone had taken a small moment to care. Jay smiled to himself, knowing that he had unknowingly begun a wave of kindness that could travel farther than he could ever imagine. It was the quiet, persistent force that shaped the world, not the loud achievements or the dramatic gestures, but the gentle, continuous choice to care. And sometimes, he reflected, that was all it took for someone's life to transform, for hope to be renewed, for a world to feel a little brighter. That night, Jay felt a sense of profound peace. He understood deeply that kindness was a choice, a deliberate act of seeing the humanity in others. It required nothing more than presence, attention, and the willingness to act. And through that willingness, he realized, the entire town, one person at a time, could become a network of support, love, and hope. All it took was one small act, a ripple that started quietly, invisibly, but ultimately changed everything.